Well, today makes 85 years since the death of the last known survivor of the Transatlantic slave trade. Her grandson, John Creer, still survives living in Selma. Our Simon Schussler spoke with Creer as he shares more about Matilda's story.
Most days, John Creer can be found at this table, scattered with hundreds of documents of his family's history. He only recently found out the historical significance of his family tree a few years ago, thanks to researchers. His grandmother, Matilda McCreer, was the last known survivor of the transatlantic slave trade.
It's interesting to think about all of the changes that I have seen and just to imagine what she might think.
Matilda McCreer was snatched from her homeland as a toddler and brought to Alabama on the last slave ship from West Africa, the Clotilda. She was then brought to a plantation in Wilcox County.
It had a different meaning when you think in terms of your flesh and blood, having undergone all of that. The other side of it, though, if she had not undergone what all she did go through, I wouldn't be here.
For many African Americans, it's harder than other ethnicities to trace back lineage due to poorly kept records and families being torn apart. For John, learning this history has allowed him to grasp a better understanding.
I have found many kinfolk that I never knew existed. Some as close as Orville.
Matilda and John's lives crossed paths just briefly. She passed away when John was 3 years old. Most of what he knows about her comes from old records and articles, like this one from the Selma Times-Journal in 1931. It details a 72-year-old Matilda walking 15 miles to a Selma courthouse to ask the judge for reimbursement because she was snatched from her homeland.
Personally, I believe there may have been some rides, wagons, or something. I just cannot imagine. No.
And Matilda never did get the reimbursements that she definitely deserved. But instead of being frustrated, get this, that she walked 15 miles for nothing, her reaction to the decision tells you perhaps more about her than anything else, Val. It's the last line in the article where she's described thanking the judge and saying, quote, "I don't expect I needs anything more than I got," Val. What an amazing story.
Yes, it really is. Thank you so much, Simon. And the remains of the Clotilda, the ship Matilda, was brought on to Alabama, were discovered at the bottom of the Mobile River in 2019.